This is Robert Harper with Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division. Thankful today. Glad to bring you another Merchandiser Minute. It's Friday, June the 12th, 2026. Let's take a look at how the futures markets closed out this week. July corn down a nickel for the week to close at $4.12. December corn down 6 cents for the week to close at $4.40. And we did make new contract lows this week on these corn futures contracts. Soybeans down 8 cents for the week on the July contract to close at $11.13. Still hanging in there above that $11 level. Your new crop soybeans, November beans, down a nickel for the week to close at $11.32. And we're just really looking for, the market is really looking for China to come in here and purchase some new crop beans. We'll see, and we'll keep watching for that next week. Chicago soft wheat traded up 4 cents for the week on the July contract, closing out at $5.84 a bushel. Your September contract closing out the week up 3 cents a bushel at $5.95. It was still a very similar theme, really the fourth week in a row here, as funds who had built near record long corn positions and very long, large long soybean positions were getting out of those positions. Not as much this week, thankfully, as they have in the previous three. We also had index funds this week rolling out of the July futures and into the next futures contract month that they're choosing to get into. The headlines were banging around about the ceasefire on with Iran, the ceasefire off with Iran. It looks like, as of this recording Friday afternoon, the White House says we're close to seeing a signed deal to open the Strait of Hormuz again. We'll keep watching for that. We were watching on Monday to get the crop progress report. We know coming into this week, statistically, the corn and soybean crop here in the U.S. was planted. Corn conditions coming in at 71% good to excellent. Bean conditions coming in to begin this week at 65% good to excellent. We saw the soft red wheat, the winter wheat harvest, along with the hard wheat harvest combined, soft and hard. The winter wheat harvest 10% complete, with a winter wheat rating of 25% good to excellent. And if you go back and look, that is the lowest winter wheat good to excellent rating on this date. I think we missed it. I think it was 26% this week in 1989, but this is the lowest one on record, and that's a big deal. I saw a neat article this week about U.S. farm acres not growing over the last 26 years since 2000. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but what surprised me in the article, it cited the number of 50% increase on farm acres in Brazil. That's just huge to think about, that big of an increase over the last 26 years. But think about this. We know here in the U.S. we produce most of our own fertilizer, but we know in Brazil, where the farm ground has increased that much over the last 26 years, they don't produce much of their own fertilizer, and they import a significant amount of it. I've seen numbers as high as 85%. So we also know that their spring planting in Brazil starts in September, and we know they're going to have some issues around fertilizer availability and price. So we're going to keep our eye on that as we go throughout the rest of this calendar year. Export sales this week, 39 million bushels of corn. That's another great sale for this time of year. And if you look back, we're about 30% higher this year as we were last year on corn sales. So that's amazing and been part of what has helped hold this corn price where it's been, even after 4 weeks of the funds selling off of that long position. But 39 million bushels of corn sold, beans 7 million bushels, and backing that up, we are on track for the USDA's export number of 1.6 billion bushels for this marketing year. And remember, the marketing year ends on August 31st for corn and soybeans. Wheat, we had a big sales week this week, and we need every one, 24 million bushels, every one of those bushels to be sold. So keep your eye on that sale report. Remember, every week, Thursday morning, we see that. We got a lot of numbers this week. China's ag agency released some ag statistics basically, and their numbers no change from the May report. We saw Brazil and we saw Argentina release agriculture statistics this week. Just lots and lots of numbers. Argentina showed that their corn harvest is 43% complete. And really, the big thing this week was yesterday, the June crop report from National Ag Statistics and the WASDE, the World Ag Supply and Demand Report from the World Ag Board. And when we look across that, ending stocks for this marketing year on corn and soybeans, 2.1 billion bushels of corn to be left over on August 31st. That's only fractionally higher than the May report. Beans was left the same at 340 million bushels of ending stocks on August 31st, 2026. USA wheat production fractionally lower from the May report. No surprise there, 1.5 billion bushels, the lowest number in decades for the winter wheat crop. So it's remarkable to see these numbers and remarkable to see the market process, the futures market process these numbers, not to mention local cash markets, the flour mill market around the U.S. as well as the feed mill markets around the U.S. process those numbers. We did see a little bit of a bearish number for corn. The WASDE report, the World Board did increase Argentina's corn production by 2 million metric tons, and they also increased Brazil's corn production by 3 million metric tons. Lots of this week, lots of stories about more screwworm cases being found in Texas, and also on a dog in New Mexico. Just the USDA is really seems like from the cube that I'm sitting in, very clear with what they're doing, the plan that they've had in place, and it's been remarkable as well to see how the cattle futures, live cattle and feeder cattle futures have, we've talked about this for 16, 18 months, and now that it's happened, it's, buy the rumor, sell the fact type information, and it's neat to see how these futures markets have held up as well as the cash trade around the country. We know that France is the European Union's largest wheat producer. We know that they had a really hot May on that crop, but we did get ratings this week that ticked up a little bit, 77% good to excellent rating on the French wheat crop. And we also saw this week a wonderful story. You might not have seen it. I mention it because you might not have with all that you're doing. Maersk has been testing, one of the largest, if not the largest, global ocean-going shipping companies in the world, has been testing 2 vessels that can run on 100% ethanol. 2 voyages have been done in the article that I've read, but really it's interesting to see as a whole the maritime industry looking at ethanol, knowing that it can cut costs. The fuel source can be more stable at times than crude oil and its derivatives, and we know it can also cut emissions. So just exciting to think about maybe 10 years down the road that we could have more demand for corn because of more demand for ethanol because the maritime industry is using it at some blend, whether it's 10% or up to 100% blend in their vessels. So next week, we want to help you if we can on new crop sales. If you get some rain, I know a lot of y'all are hoping for some thunderstorms here the next couple of nights. If we can help you with old crop sales, Josie and I are glad to do that. As well as those of you who have already studied cutting wheat this week, we have seen increases in local basis for wheat this week at the flour mills. So give Josie and I a call if we can help you. This is Robert at Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division.